Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to another episode of Quran in English. My name is Ahmed and I'm happy to go through the next chapter. We're making a lot more progress now that we're doing a chapter a week. For the time that I've released this, obviously I'm a little bit delayed on when I was supposed to release this. I got sick, and then throughout the sickness I decided I should do a vow of silence. So I kind of, I'm still sick, and I have my ginger juice to make me feel better. Hopefully it'll be fine. Anyway, we're going to get into Surah Ibrahim, chapter of Ibrahim, which is interesting because we haven't, in the first half, because this chapter is going to be covered in 2 episodes, so I'm going to release one today and one tomorrow, upkeeping with my episode a week, with my chapter a week. But so far in the first section, we don't really read about chapter Ibrahim, and I reviewed this first section a couple days ago, so I haven't ever done it this way, so I'm very curious to see what happens. But anyway, before we begin, I must always explain, I am not an Arabic scholar, nor am I a Quranic scholar. I haven't studied the Arabic language, nor the Quran. In fact, this is my first read-through for a lot of the Quran, and I'm merely sharing my education journey with you in the hopes that you might learn something. But if you have a different perspective on something, please let me know. Feel free. I would love it. Cool. Off we start. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. And off we go.
ألف لام را كتاب أنزلناه إليك لتخرج الناس من الظلمات إلى النور بإذن ربهم إلى صراط العزيز الحميد.
Okay. Yeah, we're off to a spicy start. Also spicy because the ginger. Alif Lam Ra. Again, these letters, whenever they're mentioned in the start of chapters, we always start talking about the book. And I always have the question, is the book the Quran, or is the book the Quran, the Injil, the Torah, and the Zabur? Mainly a 3-parter, but I wonder where we can find the Zabur. Anyway, the context clues, again, in the previous chapters have indicated that it was talking about the Quran, but let's see what it says here. Alif Lam Ra. Kitabun, a book, we have revealed to you. So it's talking to a singular person. It's not we have revealed, we have sent down. So yes, revealed is kind of correct, but sent down to you. That's the actual verb. Anzalnahu, brought it down. Sent down to you. And since it's talking about to a singular person, it makes you think that it's talking about the Quran, because it's talking to the Prophet. But then what it does also kind of talks about the other books, right? And it says, so that you may bring out people from darkness into the light. And that's also what Jesus did with his word. And that's also what Moses did with the Torah. It's supposed to be a guide and a light. Out of the darkness into the light. By the permission of God, of their Lord. Guide the people out of the light, by the permission of their Lord, towards the path that is almighty and praiseworthy. Interesting. I feel like this could also apply to the Injil and to the Torah, but they were not brought down to you singular, not to you plural. So this probably is talking about the Quran, but it's a question that keeps coming up in my mind. Because we know that when the word kitab is being mentioned, it means all 4, right? Anyway, curious.
الله الذي له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وويل للكافرين من عذاب شديد.
God is the one who, to him belongs what is in the heavens and what is in the skies, what is in the earths. The skies and the heavens and the earth. Skies, I feel like, is more accurate. I understand why they call it the heavens, but I think skies is the correct term, samawat. And what is in the earth? Because I feel like this is a description of this life, not the location of heaven. You know what I mean? I feel like if you're comparing what's in this earth, the earth and the skies, and it always refers to as the skies multiples, but we've always called it the heavens in the past. But I don't think that's accurate. I think the skies is more accurate. And then it says, and woe to the disbelievers from a punishment that is severe. Severe torment.
الذين يستحبون الحياة الدنيا على الآخرة ويصدون عن سبيل الله ويبغونها عوجا أولئك في ضلال بعيد.
Who are the disbelievers? The ones who love who prefer, who love more the life, the world, the earthly life versus the hereafter, and they hinder from the path of God, and they seek in it crookedness. Those are the ones who are in far astray. Now, I need to choose my words carefully, but I believe that there are some people within the religious community that fit this description. Many people have tried to hinder me from reading the Quran, for example, saying that you cannot gain guidance by reading the Quran without listening to the hadith. And I've had these people come to my YouTube channel and write these comments on my channels, which frustrates me and is plain wrong because the Quran disagrees with you. But I feel like they were trying to hinder me from the path of God. They say, oh no, we want you to read the Quran and the Hadith. And I'm like, well, that's one option of learning. But reading the Quran itself is also a form of learning. And they're trying to tell me, don't read the Quran by itself because you're not going to get it, which for me is a hindrance to reading it. And I don't like someone trying to hinder me. And I'm very... not rebellious, but kind of like if you tell me you can't do something, then I'll tell you, watch. And then the other term of it, and they seek in its crookedness, which again it draws me back to some people. They're like, you can only understand the Quran through the words of some people. And listen, I separate the prophets from the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, from other people. Like, if the Prophet has said something, then and this is a lot of what we learned from the Prophet, and we need the Prophet's kind of explanation to kind of explain to us what was missing. But I don't care what others have said, regardless of how close to him they were, you know? And I feel like some of the crookedness that we have in the religion today is as a result of them. And it's not just the Muslims, by the way. I've been reading videos between Jews and there's a Jew that believes in Jesus, and he's discussing with Jews that don't believe in Jesus, which are like Orthodox Jews. And he was talking to them, and he's like, yeah, so if we read the Tanakh, the Torah, it tells us of, it talks about Jesus coming, and it makes sense. And all of the Jews tend to respond saying, oh, no, you can't just read the Torah. Because if you just read the Torah, you're not going to get it. You have to talk to a rabbi. They have to explain it to you. If they don't explain it to you, you don't understand it. Which, again, is the crookedness that I feel like is the problem. Because this Jewish man is going to his Jewish brethren and sisters and telling them, our scripture, if you read it, it points to Jesus. Why aren't we believing in him? And they're like, no, you have to listen to the rabbis, not just read the text. And you're like, hang on a second, this is where the crookedness comes from. And this is why I have a serious issue with those who have come to my channel and said, you have to listen to hadith as you're reading the Quran, otherwise you're not going to get it. And I separate between the hadith of the Prophet and the hadith of those around him. I don't care what any human has said about the Quran. And the Quran is also timeless. Something that they said 1,400 years ago might not apply today. Like, we have to be separate and different. And I think this is where a lot of the crookedness comes from. This is where a lot of the hate, where a lot of the abuse. Which is a very bold and spicy way to start this channel. I feel like I want to fight somebody today. This is what happens when I stay silent for 3 days. I'm like, let's go. I'm about to address every situation. But this has been something that's been bothering me. And obviously it's a reason why a lot of people don't view my channel for now. Because they're like, you have to do it our way. Which honestly, no, I don't. And it will be what will make me more successful down the line. But I just got to stand for what I believe in. And I believe that those who are hindering people from reading the Quran because they're not going to understand it unless somebody else explains it to them, they're the ones who are causing crookedness. And this is the problem. And if you think that way, then we're not going to get along. I'm ready to fight. Interesting. Those are the ones that are in fi dalalin ba'id, they're like in it's kind of like in misguidance. They're like in confusion, and then it's like they're lost, they're confused, and they're so far away from the truth, and they think that, oh no, we know what we're doing and we know what we're right. Let's see what the next chapter, the next verses are. Ooh, I'll come back a little bit spicy today. I'm sorry. It's all the ginger beer. Anyway, ginger beer. It's a ginger drink, extra hot. It says at the bottom. You can see. Yeah, I'm a little bit okay. Let's focus on the Quran. Sorry.
وما أرسلنا من رسول إلا بلسان قومه ليبين لهم فيضل الله من يشاء ويهدي من يشاء وهو العزيز الحكيم.
Interesting. And we have not sent any messenger except within the tongue of his people, with the language of his people, so that he might make it clear for them. Premise number 1. Premise number 2. Fayudillu, let's go astray, God lets go astray whom he wills and guides whom he wills. Premise 2. وَهُوَ الْعَزِيزُ الْحَكِيمُ. Premise 3. And he is the Almighty and he is the All-Wise. Premise 3. Is God saying, he's saying that he sent a messenger to the people with their own language. And then he says, God lets go astray whom he wills. Yeah, but then the question is, what about sending a messenger to actually, here's a good point. Yeah, I was thinking about it. What about sending a messenger to Asia? And I'm obviously I'm from the Middle East, so I'm from Asia, but I'm talking about the Far East, about India, China, Japan. And the reason why I said, it might happen is, well, technically my belief is that there might be another messenger, and his name might be Ahmed. No, his name is Ahmed, because of what the Quran said. But there might be another messenger. It's just a theory that I have. Because that there might be further messengers and more messengers in the specific tongues of their own country, of their own people. Interesting. I can't imagine here what it's saying. God wants to let go astray all those that he didn't send a messenger to, and we don't know if he didn't send a messenger to them, right? Like some say Buddha, but it's if he's sending a messenger, then he has to send a messenger who says what all these messengers said. There's only one God. And I feel like there's a part of Hinduism that is monotheistic and that everything is the one source. But I think we're diverging. It's just very interesting that it's saying that God lets go astray whom he wills and guides whom he wills. Yeah, for me it feels like it's not too late, And he is the Almighty and All-Wise. Okay.
لقد أرسلنا موسى بآياتنا أن أخرج قومك من الظلمات إلى النور وذكرهم بأيام الله إن في ذلك لآيات لكل صبار شكور.
And verily we sent Moses with our signs that he bring out your people from the darkness into the light. How did the first verse of the chapter go? This book is to bring people into the light. And I said it can apply to what the Torah was to others as well, right? We see a similarity. Is it about the Quran? Is it about the Torah? And here we said we sent Moses with our signs. I don't feel like blocking you. If I just ignore it, then can move away. Yeah, we sent Moses with our signs, whereas the first one was we revealed it to you so that you may get people out of the light into the light. But here again, I feel like the Torah also brings people into the light. Then it says, and remind them of the days of God. Allah's days of favor. So of favor obviously is not mentioned in the specific. Bi'ayyam Allah. The first thing that comes into mind of the days of God is the Sabbath, and that every Saturday is a day of God, and that the Saturdays combined are the days of God. Which is ironic because the way that the Jews explain the Sabbath is that 6 days of the week it belongs to God, and 1 day of the week is yours. You know? Interesting. And in that is a sign for everyone that is patient and thankful. Which again, the themes are very strongly linking to patience and giving thanks. Be patient, be thankful. Yeah.
وإذ قال موسى لقومه اذكروا نعمة الله عليكم إذ أنجاكم من آل فرعون يسومونكم سوء العذاب ويذبحون أبناءكم ويستحيون نساءكم وفي ذلكم بلاء من ربكم عظيم.
And when Moses said to his people, remember the favor of God upon you, if when he has saved you from the people of Pharaoh, as they were afflicting you with evil torment, and slaughtering your sons and letting live your women, letting live your women is correct, but it also means like lifing your women, kind of. Which has its implications of why they kept the women alive. Moses is saying, remember God's favor upon you, and in that is a trial from your Lord that is great, which we know, obviously, from the story of the Jews, from even their own perspective, that they failed to remember God's favor upon them and strayed from the path several times.
وَإِذْ تَأَذَّنَ رَبُّكُمْ لَئِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ وَلَئِن كَفَرْتُمْ إِنَّ عَذَابِي لَشَدِيدٌ.
Yeah, this kind of brings to mind a topic of how God is, and if proclaimed your God, proclaimed your God, that if you are thankful, then I will surely increase you, but if you are ungrateful, then indeed my punishment is severe. Which feels like an intense relationship, right? A lot of people's criticism of religion and of God is that he sounds almost like worship me or I will make you suffer. And in a way, that's correct, right? In a way, this is what God is saying. If you're thankful for what I've given you, I will give you more. And if you are ungrateful, then indeed my punishment is surely severe. Which seems a bit intense, right? It feels like if a human was treating you this way, you got to be nice to me, or I'm going to make you suffer. You would think that that person is sociopathic in a way, but this is not a person. This is God, and we cannot apply humanly qualities to God. And you kind of have to understand what's the point of everything, right? Why are we on earth? Why are we not in heaven? The fact that this whole life is very much this point. This whole life is, can we get back into God's favor? Even though we don't have any evidence of God's favor. We just have to go on belief. You have to believe that God wants what's best for you as long as you're just grateful. And like, if you're grateful, it's not to say that bad things won't happen to you. But the bad things that do happen to you are better done. It's like that Buddhist philosophy that your attitude shapes your experience. And that if you are suffering, you're enduring pain twice. Like something bad's happened to you and you're stuck in the suffering, then you're kind of stuck in it. It seems to be almost like a universal perspective on life. Be grateful, suffer less. Don't be grateful and disbelieve and suffer more. They just seem to go hand in hand. So, yeah, I always like to say, don't think of God as a person. Think of God as more like as a force of nature. As a karmic perspective, more than anything else. But it is, in the end of the day, a trial and a test, right? Are you able to be thankful considering how hard life can be?
وقال موسى إن تكفروا أنتم ومن في الأرض جميعا فإن الله لغني حميد.
And Moses said, if you disbelieve, you and whoever is in the earth, all together, then indeed God is, it says, rich and praiseworthy. And here, rich meaning, like, he don't need you. All of you can disbelieve. That's fine. And this is kind of where the kind of concept and the difference between a human and not. When they painted God as God needs praise, or he will punish you, it makes it seem like he's doing it because he wants or needs your praise. In fact, God's telling you to be thankful for your case, not for his. God does not need you, and that's what him being rich is in this circumstance. He doesn't need you to be thankful. He doesn't need you to be kind. And if all humans were to disbelieve, so be it. God don't need this. So it's essentially for us that we are being thankful, not for God, which I think is the key difference between a human doing this and God doing this, you know?
ألم يأتكم نبأ الذين من قبلكم قوم نوح وعاد وثمود والذين من بعدهم لا يعلمهم إلا الله جاءتهم رسلهم بالبينات فردوا أيديهم في أفواههم وقالوا إنا كفرنا بما أرسلتم به وإنا لفي شك مما تدعوننا إليه مريب.
Okay. Has it not come to you the news of those who came from before you? The people of Noah, of Ad and Thamud, which we covered in the previous chapters. And those from after them. Nobody knows them except for God. So there are more, and obviously there are more because we've covered some more in the chapter. And it says, it came to them their messengers with the clear proofs, But they returned their hands to they returned their hands to their mouths, which here it translates to they put their hands over their mouths. Because like I'm trying to think of what is the perspective. Because they returned their hands to their mouths, and then they said, so putting your hand over your mouth and then speaking doesn't make any sense, right? Doesn't make sense to cover your mouth and then speak. Because then it doesn't make sense to cover your mouth and then speak, because then it would be muffled and people will struggle to hear you. So I don't know what return their hands to in their mouths. فردوا أيديهم في أفواههم. I don't know. I'm just trying to imagine what it means. The simplest explanation is that they cover their mouths, but I don't understand why they'd cover their mouths if they're about to speak. Maybe it's an expression. Yeah. And they said, indeed, we have disbelieved in what has been sent to you with it. So all the messages that came down to them, by the way, one God, pray, worship. And they came with clear proofs as well. It's not that they were just on the one God and nothing was happening. There was clear proofs. But the people said, we disbelieve in what you have been sent with it. Indeed, we are surely in doubt with what you invite us to. It is suspicious. We are certainly in an alarming doubt about what you're inviting to us. إليه مريب. إنا لفي شك مما تدعوننا إليه مريب. An alarming doubts. Okay. Yeah, normally we take section by section, but 9 is two short verses, so we're gonna keep going until 27. But off we go.
قالت رسلهم أفي الله شك فاطر السماوات والأرض يدعوكم ليغفر لكم من ذنوبكم ويؤخركم إلى أجل مسمى قالوا إن أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا تريدون أن تصدونا عما كان يعبد آباؤنا فأتونا بسلطان مبين.
Yeah, so here's interesting. It says, the messenger said, can there be about God any doubt? He is the creator of the heavens and the earth. He invites you so that he may forgive for you from your sins and give you respite towards a term that is appointed. And we saw this in the people of Yunus, people of Jonah. Yunus is Jonah in English. And that they did believe, and so he gave them respite until a certain point, in time, which is very interesting. And they said that you are nothing but humans like us. So the people said that you are nothing like humans like us, which is very interesting. The claim that the people said to the messengers is that you're only human. You're humans like us, which they're not wrong. And we'll see that in a second. You wish that you hinder us about what we used to worship and what our forefathers used to worship. So bring us an authority that is clear. Now here's very interesting. Sultanin Mubin is not a compelling proof. And the reason why I say this is because in the previous verse it said they came with clear proofs. Bayinat is clear proofs. So they came with clear proofs, but they were denied. Here, what they're asking for is an authority that is clear. A sultan, it's like someone that is... Yeah, they were asking for an authority. They weren't asking for proof. They were asking for almost like a king, someone elevated, which kind of ties into a lot of what the Jewish people were asking for. They were asking for a king, right? A king appointed by God, also known as the Son of God sometimes, which, hello. But here they're not asking for a clear proof. They're asking for an authority, which I believe refers to a person or a thing that is clear. I mean, they could be asking for a clear proof. They could be asking for God to speak. Maybe. I'm not sure.
قالت لهم رسلهم إن نحن إلا بشر مثلكم ولكن الله يمن على من يشاء من عباده وما كان لنا أن نأتيكم بسلطان إلا بإذن الله وعلى الله فليتوكل المؤمنون.
Interesting. And of course, the messenger said to them, indeed, we are except humans. We're nothing but humans. We agree. We're not denying you. We're humans just like you. Very, very, very important. But God bestows his grace upon whom he wills from his slaves. So again, here we're talking about bestows his grace, yaminu, favors certain people from his slaves. So they are the slaves that are being favored. The messengers are the slaves being favored. So what does it mean that he bestows his grace? Does it tie it into the bayinat that they came with? The bayinat being the clear proofs? Which I think it does. And I was also thinking about it now. Maybe the clear proofs is the message that is truthful. Like the true message is the clear proof? Because then let's wait what the rest of the verse says. And it is not for us that we bring to you an authority except by the permission of God. And again, here we're talking about God favors whom he wills. So if we talk about it from the concept of authority being a person of authority, a person who has been chosen by God, a person who has been gifted, it kind of fits within this favor concept. But in the reverse, if we talk about the authority being an example of an evidence of their messengerness, I feel like it's more about ruling than it is about proofs, because proofs was mentioned, bayinat was mentioned before. And for instance, Jesus, Moses, even Muhammad came with clear proofs in a variety of formats, but those who want to believe will believe, and those who don't want to believe won't believe. I really do feel like it's about authority, about Sultan, by the way, in English translates to Sultan. Just saying. And then it gives them the clear message, and upon God let depend the believers. Let them trust the believers. And I think that's kind of the point. God is saying, I'm not going to put a ruler amongst you. I'm not going to solve this for you. You got to believe. And that's kind of all the best that we can do. Especially our lives. Our lives are long and arduous and without any evidence. And we got to believe regardless. And that's kind of the lesson.
وما لنا ألا نتوكل نتوكل على الله وقد هدانا سبلنا ولنصبرن على ما آذيتمونا وعلى الله فليتوكل المتوكلون.
I did not hear that because I was too busy suffering the ginger. But I need to suffer because my throat is so sore. And it's not for us. So this is the messenger saying this. And it is not for us that we do not put our trust in God. Well, he certainly has guided us to our ways. And we will bear patience about what harm you may cause us. We will patiently endure what harm you cause us. And upon God, let put trust. Anyone who puts their trust in anything, put their trust in God. Let the faithful put their trust in God. And this is a very profound statement, right? I don't know about you, but I imagine most people have felt saved in one way or another. Either through miraculous means or through a person or through a situation or through a circumstance or through sometimes something comes out of the blue and saves the day and you feel A-okay. And it's hard to say that's what you have to trust because also it depends on your perspective. You can also say, oh yeah, but then you look at my life and then I suffered because of this and I suffered because of this and I suffered because of this. So it's hard to put your trust in being saved. But for me, I can only talk about my own personal experience. I cannot ignore the favor that has been put upon me, the guidance and the path that I'm on. For me, this makes the most sense, right? That I'm guided by God. And it's a kind of, it is a humble, graceful acceptance of like knowing that God is there, right? And knowing that God is always guiding me on the path. It's not even that that I'm choosing to believe in God. It's like that I can't not choose. And that's why this sentence makes the most. It is not for us to not put our trust on God when he has guided us to our ways. This is something that I relate to immensely. How can I not trust God? After everything that I've seen, everything that's happened to me, like how do I not, you know? And sure, we'll be paired with patience. Again, there's that patience. Patience upon what harm you may cause us. Okay, so this is talking specifically about the messengers, but I just related to the first statement. And we'll be patient about what harm you cause us, which also is a very powerful statement. I remember there was like a Nobel Peace Prize winner who, when she was younger, I think she was in Rwanda, to be honest, and village got destroyed, killed, and she had to like hide under the bed while her parents were destroyed and while terrible things were being done to them. And she kept saying, don't make me jaded, don't make me jaded, don't make me jaded, don't make me jaded, don't make me jaded. Don't let me hate these people for the rest of my life. Don't let them define who I am. And she refused to be angry about the pain that they caused her. And in the end, she became a magnanimous human being who saved so many people because she wasn't consumed with seeking revenge. And so this is something for all of us, even though this is about the messengers. Sure, the bear with patience about what harm you cause us is absolutely key to everything that we do. And if you let yourself get bitter and angry, then you are not failing the test, but you're failing this part of the test. And you're not putting your trust upon God because you are not faithful. You don't put your trust in something else. Very powerful. Very somber.
وقال الذين كفروا لرسلهم لنخرجنكم من أرضنا أو لتعودن في ملتنا فأوحى إليهم ربهم لنهلكن الظالمين.
And those that disbelieved said to their messengers, surely we will drive you out from our land, or you will return to our religion, our beliefs. So God, their Lord, inspired to them, as in revealed to them, sent them a message, because they are messengers. So he sent them a message, and only them. And he sent them a message that we will surely destroy the wrongdoers. Yeah.
وَلَنُسْكِنَنَّكُمُ الْأَرْضَ مِنْ بَعْدِهِمْ ذَلِكَ لِمَنْ خَافَ مَقَامِي وَخَافَ وَعِيدِ.
And surely we will make you dwell in the land after them. So first we'll destroy them, then we'll make you dwell in the land after them. That is for whoever fears standing before me and fears my warning, my promise, my threat. So, I mean, yeah, it sounds pretty dangerous, but it's not like... Oh, what the hell? No, go away. It sounds pretty dangerous, but it's not like the messengers received this information and then la-di-da walked away until these people suffered and then they moved on. These people conveyed the message to the disbelievers. By the way, this place is going to get destroyed. So anyone who is afraid and meeting before God and fears the threat of God, come with us, and then we will make you dwell in the land after them. It's not like it's just going to be the messengers after the people left. It's the messengers and those that believed what the messengers were saying, you know?
وَاسْتَفْتَحُوا وَخَابَ كُلُّ جَبَّارٍ عَنِيدٍ.
And they sought both sides. Here it says both sides called for judgment. And every tyrant that was obstinate was disappointed. Okay, so istaftahu. Here it says they sought for victory, and there it said they called for judgment. Yeah, it kind of feels like this is saying they tried to resolve it. They tried to see who was right, and they tried to see. It does mean they opened it. But I do understand what they're saying here. Istaftahu, every step. So that they called for judgment. They said, okay, let's see who's right. And in the end, every tyrant that was obstinate was disappointed. It's not a strong enough word. Doomed is a bit too strong of a word. It's somewhere between disappointed and doomed. It's closer to disappointed because it's more about what they felt than about what happened to them. But it is a much more. It's not just like, oh, I'm disappointed. It's like devastated. Devastated feels more correct.
من ورائه جهنم ويسقى من ماء صديد.
So here it said, and devastated every tyrant that was obstinate was devastated. From behind them is hell, and he's made to drink from water that is purulent. What? Here it says to drink ooze. I want to say it's rusty water. All right, let's do it.
Solid.
Squirrel friend. Hello. Pass. Yeah, they do translate it as pus. Either way, does not sound like something you want to be drinking. Something pretty terrible.
يتجرعه ولا يكاد يسيغه ويأتيه الموت من كل مكان وما هو بميت ومن ورائه عذاب غليظ.
Okay. And it continues to describe, he will sip it, but he will not be able to swallow it. He will sip with difficulty, but he will not be able to swallow it, that he can hardly swallow. And death will come to him from every direction, from every side, but he will not die. And from ahead of him is a punishment that is harsh. Yeah, this is very interesting. This is a very, very vivid description of hell. And I've had this kind of like, is it metaphorical or is it literal? This seems pretty literal. You can imagine somebody drinking something vile, not able to swallow it, not being able to stomach it, feeling like they're going to die at any second, but never dying. It's like the ultimate torture, right? Pushing you to the brink of death without ever making you cross. But it's like understanding how you function perfectly, to know exactly where your limit is beyond your response, you know? Terrible, terrible, terrible.
مثل الذين كفروا بربهم أعمالهم كرماد اشتدت به الريح في يوم عاصف لا يقدرون مما كسبوا على شيء ذلك هو الضلال البعيد.
The example of those who disbelieved with their Lord, their deeds are like ashes that blow furiously on the wind on a stormy day. Ashes that are being blown around in the wind on a stormy day. They do not Doesn't it mean that they do not perceive what good they receive? Or am I confused? They will not be able to do any. Okay. Okay. Do makes more sense. Yeah. They cannot do with what they have earned on anything. They can't do anything with what they've earned. It's kind of like all the deeds that they've done. Their deeds don't actually do anything, is what this phrase is trying to say. They haven't really earned anything, and that's why they can't do it. That is in it. ذلك هو الضلال البعيد. And that in it is the straying that is far. This is the farthest that one can stray. In these actions is straying really far. I should have waited another day for reading the Quran, but I said I was going to finish the Quran this week, so sorry. We're going through this. We're going to power through.
ألم تر أن الله خلق السماوات والأرض بالحق إن يشأ يذهبكم ويأت بخلق جديد.
So the second time that this is being mentioned in this chapter, it says, do you not see that God created the heavens and the earth in truth? And I wonder what that means. Here it says they created it for a reason. I don't feel like they created it for a reason. I feel like he created it correctly, is what he's saying. He created it the way it was supposed to be. Like for me, it's more a description of how the world works. And that, like, for me, it is a true test of faith. Belief is a very powerful thing, and belief tends to, when placed in the right thing, tends to do miraculous things. And that is because of the nature of the world that we live in, enacts this belief, and it creates this world in which belief is successful. And then it says, and for the second time in this chapter, indeed, if he wills, he can remove you, and he can bring a creation that is new. Which says what exactly? And like for me, if it ties into belief, it ties into, there's a reason why we're all here, because God does believe that it's going to work with us, and that we're going to be able to ascend back, and we are going to believe, and this is all going to work well, that we are in harmony. And that if we were out of harmony, it is not the world that is wrong, it is us that is wrong, and we can be replaced in a way, as he has done many, many times over.
وما ذلك على الله بعزيز.
And that's not upon God too mighty, too great, too grand. It's very possible for God to do it.
وبرزوا لله جميعا فقال الضعفاء للذين استكبروا إنا كنا لكم تبعا فهل أنتم مغنون عنا من عذاب الله من شيء قالوا لو هدانا الله لهديناكم سواء علينا أجزعنا أم صبرنا ما لنا من محيص.
Interesting. They will come forth to God altogether, and then the weak will say to those that were arrogant, indeed we were for you followers. So will you avail us from any punishment of God in anything? The weak will go to the ones who defiantly disobeyed and said this is all bullshit and walked away and puffed their chest. The weak will go, we followed you, so will you protect us from God in any way, shape, or form? But then the ones who led the way and were boastful will say, if God had guided us, then surely he would have guided you. Surely we would have guided you. Which means that the arrogant, yet again, are being arrogant, saying, oh, if God had guided us, then we would have guided you. Kind of saying, A, that is God's fault, and B, primarily they're putting the blame at someone else. And B, they're also misunderstanding how God works, because they feel like God could have only guided the weak through the arrogant, which is not how this works at all. And the whole point is the weak and the arrogant all have a duty and responsibility to seek guidance. And if you don't seek guidance and you just follow the dumbass in front of you, then it's not his fault, it's your fault, you know? Same as for us, whether we show سواء علينا. It's the same for us whether we show intolerance or whether we are patient, whether we were arrogant or whether we are patient. And for us, there is no place of escape. Now, it is all the same for us whether we suffer patiently or impatiently. There is no escape for us. Had God guided us, we would have guided you. And now we're all in the same boat. Now, this is kind of more of an exemption. Whether we hate it or whether we're patient, we're all going to suffer. And now it's too late, and it's way too late. It doesn't matter if you say that we didn't guide you, because God didn't guide us. We're all in this boat together.
وقال الشيطان لما قضي الأمر إن الله وعدكم وعد الحق ووعدتكم فأخلفتكم وما كان لي عليكم من سلطان إلا أن دعوتكم فاستجبتم لي فلا تلوموني ولوموا أنفسكم ما أنا بمصرخكم وما أنتم بمصرخي إني كفرت بما أشركتمون من قبل إن الظالمين لهم عذاب أليم.
Which, okay, there's an interesting perspective on this, and I really want to talk about it. But first, let me explain what is being said. And the devil will say, Al-Shaytan yaqul, and the devil will say, when it has been decreed the matter of God, when the matter was decided, when the matter was decreed, when the judgment has been passed, when God's decrement, indeed God promised you a promise that of truth. And I promised you, but I betrayed you. But it was not upon, and I had nothing over you from any sort of authority, except that I invited you and you responded to me. So do not blame me and blame yourself, but blame yourself. It is not that I am not your helper, and you are not my helper. Do not blame me, and I like the description. Do not blame me and blame yourselves. Oh. No, I cannot save you, you cannot save me. Yeah, that's correct. I cannot save you, I cannot help you, and you cannot help me. Indeed, and here's where it gets a little bit interesting. It says, indeed, I deny of what you associate of me from before. And here the associate with me is, again, the word associating with something else other than God with God. Which means, putting your faith in the devil rather than putting your faith in God. And he says, I deny and I disbelieve, or I didn't deny, I think is more accurate, of what you used to believe you associated from before. And then he simply says, indeed, wrongdoers are for them a punishment that is painful. Which the big question exists of why the devil exists. Yes, we know the story of the fall of Iblis from heaven down to become the devil, and that there was this back and forth drama in the sense that first the devil was too proud to bow down to Adam, and therefore it created this tension, and he had to fall. And he was going to spend the rest of humanity tricking the progeny of Adam to see if he can make them sin. But the way that this verse describes the devil is that at the end of the times, when judgment is upon us, and you are in front of God, and you say, oh, the devil made me do it. And the devil will come and say, all I did was invite you to do the wrong thing. You did it. I deny and push myself away from what you associate with God, meaning, in a way, the devil believes in God. And the devil should definitely believe in God. Like, the devil knows that God exists and knows that God will always get his word and knows that God has all authority. He just didn't do God's will because he had free will in a weird way, which is tied to humanity's free will. And he's designed to make us trip. But it's not the devil's fault that we trip. It is ours. And it's kind of very succinctly putting the responsibility and the blame not on the people who guided you to darkness, not on the devil who guided you to darkness, but upon you. Are you able to hold on to truth and hold on to belief in the face of temptation? Which I think is very powerful.
وأدخل الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها بإذن ربهم تحيتهم فيها سلام.
Last few verses, I got this. And will be admitted those who believed will be admitted. Those who believed and did good will be admitted to gardens that flows from underneath them, rivers abiding in it forever by the permission of their Lord. And their greetings therein will be salam, peace, which is where Islam comes from. Peace, surrender. Islam is also to surrender and to be at peace. And this is a very beautiful concept, but it also feels like heaven is so far away. Even though I am a believer, it's like life is long and the devil is strong. And it's not just, again, not to blame the devil, but to blame the part of myself that resonates with the devil, that agrees with the devil, that falls for the devil, right? It just feels like surviving the devil until the day that you die is a long and arduous journey. We all make mistakes, and we all have to be humble, and we all have to think that we can do better and learn and try and be better. So it'll be worth it. And if you're able to do that for your whole life, then by the end of it, it'll be worth it. And there will be peace.
ألم تر كيف ضرب الله مثلا كلمة طيبة كشجرة طيبة أصلها ثابت وفرعها في السماء.
Now here there's a comparison that's being drawn that I don't fully understand, but I'm going to explain it. Do you not see how God sets forth an example of a word, a good word, a word that is good, is like a tree that is good. Its roots are firm and its branches are in the sky. A good word is like a tree that has solid roots and branches to the sky. It's a very interesting visual. And then it continues by saying,
تؤتي أكلها كل حين بإذن ربها ويضرب الله الأمثال للناس لعلهم يتذكرون.
This is very interesting. So, this tree, the good word that is like a tree that is sprouting good strong roots into the heavens, it gives its fruit every time and again by the permission of its Lord, which is kind of like saying a good word now has its effect now, has its effect later, has its effect a few years down the line. This one word has so many positive effects. And I've had people say this to me where they like tell me, by the way, I did something great because of what you told me. I did something good because of what you said. Like, you know, and words that I had completely forgotten that I had said to people, but that have had such powerful and positive impacts on their lives. And that's what they mean. It's one word given at one point in time, but it has multiple fruits whenever they remember it, whenever they struggle, whenever they're in a difficult moment. Good words are very powerful. And then it says, and God strikes an example for humans so that they may remember. Remember the 5th of November. And now the opposite end. We said the good word. Now we have
ومثل كلمة خبيثة كشجرة خبيثة اجتثت من فوق الأرض ما لها من قرار.
And the example of the word that is evil isn't the right word. Foul. The example of a foul word is like a tree that is foul, that has been uprooted from the surface of the earth, and it has no stability. It's uprooted from the earth and it's not very stable.
يثبت الله الذين آمنوا بالقول الثابت في الحياة الدنيا وفي الآخرة ويضل الله الظالمين ويفعل الله ما يشاء.
Interesting. So first we have a beautiful expression. God stabilizes, makes steadfast, keeps firm, stabilizes God. God stabilizes those who believe with a firm word, with a word that is firm in the life of the world and the hereafter. God makes the believer steadfast with a word, a firm word in this life and in the afterlife. So I was imagining that we were talking about words that we say to each other, which I think that the example does apply to them. But I think in here, God is explaining how the words of truth and the words that the messengers share and that which we are studying and that's which we are bringing to God is stabilizing the believers and making them feel comfortable, not only in this world, but also in the world after. And then it says, and let's go astray, God lets go astray the wrongdoers, and God does what he wills. Which then goes back into, does that mean that God is destabilizing the non-believers, the disbelievers? And he's causing them to be confused and blind. I feel like these verses are being very clear and very direct and very specific. God guides whom he wills and makes those whom he wills disbelieve. But I don't think if anybody wanted to believe, I don't think that God is going to say a word and make them non-believe. And in fact, the fact that you believe, God knows whether you're going to believe or not. So God is also making happen what he knows to be true. It's a lot of words. It's just the second part is a bit confusing, but I like the interesting that and God stabilizes, keeps steadfast with a firm word. Because I mean, a lot of times in the Quran it says kun fayakun, be so mote it be. When God says let something happen, it will happen. So in a way, God's words can keep us stable, for sure. But he tied it to the example of what words mean. And a good word has ever-bearing fruits. And a bad word has a lot of frustration. Interesting. We haven't talked about Abraham, even though this is the chapter of Abraham, but it's got to be in the second half. So we'll catch you guys tomorrow, and hopefully we'll talk about Abraham then. Inshallah. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you. As usual, we always end with Sadaqallah al-Aliyyil Azim. Ma salama. Love you guys. See you tomorrow. Bye.